Halftime Howie here with Rocco, and recently Rocco and I collaborated on a very moving and emotional story, and I kind of want to give people the behind-the-scenes aspect of it, because I don't think a lot of people who follow us appreciate all the work that Rocco does, editing.
Thank you for appreciating
editing, and really, Rocco uses the word serendipitous, and this really came apart. We covered a terrible tragedy 2 years ago when a 13-year-old boy in Long Beach named Brendan Carr took his own life. And last Sunday, Rocco and I were having coffee at a Dunkin' Donuts on the west end of Long Beach, and we just happened to see Benoit, a good friend, great musician in town, walking by, and I invited him in, and Benoit proceeded to tell us that he was just texting Julie Carr, Brendan Carr's mom, and about this was the last week, was the 2-year anniversary of Brendan's loss. And so we decided to dedicate last week's show to Brendan, and I think Rocco really did an amazing job on the video. It was like a half-hour video. It entailed a lot.
Watch it, by the way. I think it really gives a fitting tribute to Brendan's life, I feel. And
it really was a lot. It entailed interviewing Benoit in his studio. Plus, there was a candlelight vigil on the boardwalk with Julie and about at least 50 or 60 Jewish friends.
By the way. It was so
sweet.
And
Rocco also incorporated Benoit's song that he dedicated Brendan. Rocco, just in layman's terms, talk about all the editing that had to go together and what it was like putting that piece together. I got to tell you, I heard from Julie and from Benoit. They both thought it was an amazing job. And Julie even told me the editing was amazing.
Thanks.
But they both really appreciated it. But in layman's terms, talk about all the work that went into that and how you put that whole piece together. Because that really was extraordinary work on your end.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The thing about doing this kind of thing is when we do our show, just to begin with, a lot of how we put the show together every week is through mainly a very simple way. I mainly use my smartphone, which is an iPhone, an Apple iPhone, and luckily the iPhones come with this editing software tool that they have on them. Apple has one called iMovie, which has has captions that we can put together, and has editing, like in terms of doing fade outs and all that kind of stuff, and it really has helped the show in terms of creating something more sophisticated for something that it's mainly Howie and I putting together every week. But with this thing, to do this sort of thing, it gave me a great opportunity to do this for Julie particularly, because to do something so fitting for her son in a way that even though we're just two guys doing this every week, that we could do something that rises to a level of sophistication and kind of like a great kind of grandiose kind of way, something very fitting for her son, I feel. And but I feel a lot of the credit I owe to Benoit for helping us with this, because he gave us great tools in terms of the photos we used. Because when we were doing his putting his song recording on the video, he provided us with notes of his lyrics, and I thought it was really cool because it enabled us to kind of create like a lyric video. A lot of the songs that people put out now, in order to promote their records, they use lyric videos where it's not just like a video, like a music video, but more like just the lyrics of the song. And I think that it was great to have all these tools to put together to create something kind of makeshift, and you get to. It really speaks to how the wonders of just being able to create something on your own without worrying about a big company with a lot of hundreds of thousands of dollars to put all this stuff together. It really speaks to the great wonders of this kind of age that we live in, this technological age where you get to be your own boss, and creating this kind of thing, and creating a show every week, for example, is a great. That's I feel like it's one of the great loves of doing the show, is being able to create something every week, and to have, to bring Howie's vision to life, and to create something so moving for Julie, to have her son, that lived a tragically short life, and to create something that will last for ages that can be shared with the world, and to show people that, you know, this was a life, you know, that wasn't lived in vain, and this was a life, you know, that you know, meant something to so many people, including her and to us, you know, in terms of learning a lot about him. You know, I feel like, you know, it's just something great that we can do for her, and we can do for, you know, human beings in general. You know, people say of, you know, the internet that you know, people use it for a lot of nonsense and a lot of really self-indulgent behavior, but you know, for Howie to do this every week, to try to really bring some good to the world, I do feel like we get to use the internet for a really highly creative and fulfilling purpose, and I feel like, you know, to do that for Julie, I think is something that will, you know, it really helps us, you know, gives us a purpose as to why we do this every week, is to try to make a difference in order to bring, you know, our little community together. And I feel like if we can do that, we can do a lot of good, you know, regardless, you know, of you know, how many people ever see it. You know, I feel like it's very important to, you know, to give back, and I feel like having this is a great way to use the power of technology to give back. So that's my feeling.
Very well said, Rocco. And
Thank you.
And if folks, if you haven't seen the video,
Yes, please see it.
Please go on our Halftime Howie show page. Brendan Carr tribute.
Fitting tribute.
Fitting
for him.
tribute, and really was
Yeah.
a moving. And also, I think there's another aspect which is very important that I
Yes.
want to touch on.
Sure.
Is the ironic part about it was September is Suicide Awareness Month.
Yes.
And the fact that we had such a moving piece
Yes.
during suicide awareness, because anytime you raise awareness,
Of course.
I think you're doing a very good public service.
Yes.
So if we
Totally.
help one person out there who was in the
Absolutely.
depths, and so I think that was also a very important thing, that we raised awareness and will continue to raise awareness. Because it is a huge problem out there. So great job, Rocco.
Thank
I think
you.
it truly was
Thank you so much.
defining moment. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Okay, time to wrap up. We want to wish everyone a happy September as October rolls around. And once again, our first show, October 14th, here at Pancho's Cantina. We're going to do a big thing. Actually, the first two shows in October, the 14th and 21st. We're going to do breast cancer awareness as October's breast cancer awareness. But I want to thank our regulars, Rocco Pasafumi, great job on the films. Mayor Minch returned and did a great job with the local Long Beach business scene, talking about the diner. Rich Kaplan talked about miraculous story, how a flight, they crashed, hole in the plane, all 47 passengers and the crew survived. So very riveting show. And we welcomed a new segment. Brandon talked about the music scene and his passion for music, especially Bruce Springsteen, and he works right here at Pancho. So we welcome in new blood to the show. It was great. And with that, we wrap with this. My name is Halftime. I want to thank you for your time. Please join us next Sunday for another edition of Halftime. But at this time, we are out of time. See you next Sunday.